Hello, my name is Ed Frawley, and I own Leerburg. What I'm going to show you here is a video that I produced back in the 1980s when I was first learning how to train narcotic detection dogs. And I'm putting it up because it's kind of a historical video, because we don't train narcotics dogs that way today. The whole evolution of training scent work, the whole evolution of how to train narcotics dogs has changed. This is like the antique age of dog training. So I'm putting this up there, more of a historical interest for people to look. Maybe you'll get an idea on it, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll get an idea on how to handle some things on it, because there's not some pretty good handling ideas in it. But I'm putting it up for people to look at as just an interesting video of how, 35 years ago, people trained narcotics dogs.
Hello, my name is Ed Frawley, and I'll narrate this video on training narcotic detection dogs. Our dog's nose is many thousands of times stronger than our own. It's been proven that a dog can smell 1 drop of hydrochloric acid in 100 gallons of water. In this video, we're going to show you how to harness this ability and use it to detect narcotics. Our emphasis will be on dog training. The subject of training officers how to identify and handle drugs should be handled at a departmental level or by the DEA. In its simplest context, the concept of how to train a narcotics dog is to start with a dog that loves to play with a ball or a stick. We teach the dog that when he finds a drug, he gets to play with his ball as a reward. Now, this sounds simpler than it actually is. Training narcotic detection dogs requires a handler that is intelligent, has patience, and is willing to learn how to develop a feeling for working with his dog. This work is not for everyone. Some people simply cannot develop the skill of handling a dog, much less training a dog. We have organized this video into a number of training sections. These include, number 1, selection testing dogs for narcotics training work, first aid training for your dog, there are narcotics to train with, steps in actual training, line handling during your searching, reading your dog during a search, handler errors, when to use corrections and when not to on your dog, proofing your dog for street work, and finally tips on court testimony. Let's begin with selection testing. As I've said, we need a ball-crazy dog for narcotics work. The instinct or the drive that makes a dog ball crazy is his prey drive. This is a drive to chase after a moving object. It's an instinct that can be seen in dogs as young as 7 or 8 weeks of age. It is possible to test puppies and be fairly certain that you could pick one that would grow up to have the drive to do narcotics work. We believe there are certain advantages of starting early training with puppies, but there are also some pitfalls. The problem with a police department buying puppies and raising them is the time involved and the risk of the dog developing some form of health problem that would limit its performance as a working canine. So with this in mind, we feel it's better to look for dogs that are a minimum of 8 months to 1 year of age. After you have determined the dog has the drive that you require, take him to your vet and have a complete physical. This physical should include a hip x-ray for dysplasia. We'll discuss your requirements in selecting a vet later in this tape. So let's begin with selection testing. The first test is done with the dog off leash in a secure area. Toss the ball in the air to attract the dog's attention. After the dog shows interest, play with the ball and watch his reaction. When you're satisfied with the concentration of the dog on the ball, that he's focused on the ball, put it under your foot and watch what he does. What we want to see is a dog that will literally dig a hole under your foot to get that ball. A good dog will even try and bite at the foot to get you to move. This is exactly the amount of drive and the type of drive we want to find in a good drug dog. Some dogs have a ball drive, but it's not strong enough to warrant the dog being considered for drug work. Now this is an example. This dog likes the ball, but he wouldn't dive for the ball. And he's certainly not going to dig a hole under your foot for the ball. I put him in here so you could see the distinct difference between a dog that likes a ball and a dog that's ball crazy.
Good boy, get it. Attaboy, get it. Attaboy, get it. Get it. Oh, here
You see, he quits too soon. A ball-crazy dog is going to dig and dig and dig and bite at that foot. This dog would like to get at it, but he just doesn't quite have it.
Look, here it is.
Now, some dogs do fairly well in the first test, but they're lacking in what we call the hunting drive or the searching drive. Here's an example of an excellent bitch and how she demonstrates the tenacity to keep going and keep going and keep looking until she finds that ball. The bitch is using her nose, she's using her eyes, she's quartering the location on her own without direction from the handler. She'd keep this up for a half an hour until she found that ball. When you do this test, make sure you throw the ball into high weeds or grass and don't let the dog go immediately. Now she's got the scent here. And here she has the ball.
Good girl.
Good girl.
Good girl. Come here, Tina. Come on, Nina. Come, Nina. Good girl. Nina, come. Come on, Nina. Nina. Out. 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 Out.
Next, we'll watch a male Rottweiler that has good ball drive, but he does not have excellent hunting or searching drive. He goes out in the weeds and he looks around, but he doesn't search intensely enough with his nose. He quits the intense search rather quickly. He looks around, he looks back at his handler, he's distracted a little by the camera, he eventually urinates. We would prefer to have a dog with a higher hunting or searching drive. At this point, the dog has pretty much forgot about the ball. He's only interested in marking his territory. If you're forced to work with a dog that's lacking in his searching instinct because you already own him and you don't want to get rid of him, or it's the only dog that's available, you can work with him to build drive. We spend a lot of time later in this videotape discussing different types of methods used to build drive. In this case, it's a simple matter of the handler going downfield with the dog and encouraging him to look for the ball. This handler makes the mistake of actually finding the ball for the dog and pointing it out to him.
Good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy.
The third test we make is called the food and water conflict test. It's a valuable test if you have two dogs of equal drive and need additional information to make your decision on which one to take. You have one person hold the dog downfield, and another person tosses a ball in the air next and puts it on the ground next to a bucket of water or a bucket of food. Now here, this dog comes downfield and ignores the ball on the ground until it's pointed out to him. He was more interested in running over to the second handler and playing. We would like to see a little more drive than this. Every canine handler needs to prepare himself for the possibility of his dog being injured or poisoned. The first thing that a handler needs to do is to select a vet. You want a vet that will take an interest in working with your police canine unit. It's important to know that your vet is willing to come out in the middle of the night for an emergency. If he's reluctant, find another doctor. Discuss the drugs your dog will come in contact with. Make sure that your vet has the animal poison control phone number, which is 217-333-3611. The emphasis on first aid must be at the level of prevention. A large percentage of accidents could be prevented by a handler using common sense. If you suspect a problem, work your dog on leash. Go into a location first and see if there are drugs laying out that your dog would come in contact with. If an accident occurs, rapid contact with your local vet will save many dogs that otherwise would have been lost. Animals that have been exposed to poison or traumatic injury need to be kept warm with as little movement as possible. When an accident does occur, get the following information: the time the dog took the drugs, the amount of drugs that were ingested, the drugs involved. If you're not sure, give the imprint code on the tablets or even the color of the tablets. Anything like this will help. A description of the clinical signs the dog displays from the time of the ingestion, and the medical steps that you have taken before getting the dog to the vet. You should ask your vet to help you put together a first aid kit. In addition to bandages, it should contain 1 pint of 3% hydrogen peroxide and a form of activated charcoal. Discuss these two important products with your veterinarian. Learn how and when they should be administered to your dog. Trained narcotic detection dogs generally do not get into drugs. They are at greater risk of being exposed to other chemicals in their working environment. Many warehouses have pesticides or rodenticides that your dog should not come in contact with. So remember, a little common sense goes a long way. Be careful. One last important point here is to remind everyone that narcotics dogs live for their ball. If you let your dog play or chew his ball when you're not with him, you run the risk of the dog chewing the ball into pieces and swallowing it. Many, many drug dogs have died from clogged intestines. New handlers have to be made aware of this risk. Now, let's move on to training. A dog can be trained to locate a number of different types of drugs. Officers sometimes comment on how their dog will locate a drug he had not even been trained on. We'll explain how this happens later in the tape. The main drugs to train your dog on are cocaine, heroin, marijuana, hash, amphetamines, and methamphetamines. In our training, we start our dogs with pseudo-cocaine and pseudo-heroin. In the early stages of training, the dog will be exposed to the drugs. Pseudo-drugs will not harm them, so we must use them here. The first step in training is to teach the dog to associate the smell of cocaine with his ball. We teach him that if he smells the drug, he can dig and find his ball. The way this is done is to take your dog to a sand pit or a park with a large sandy area. Have an assistant hold your dog while you tease him with the ball. Bury the ball in the sand and put a small quantity of the drug on top of the place where the ball is buried. Let the dog go and give him the command you'll use to search. We use get your gift. Now it's important here to realize that the dogs respond to the tone and reflection of your voice. So sound excited when you tell your dog to search. Make him think that you want to find the ball so you can both go and play with it. Because of the nature of the work, a lot of cops have problems giving commands. They're used to barking out their orders. Where here, you're asking your dog to go find his ball and play. I cannot tell you how important it is to learn to give commands and praise your dog with enthusiasm. If you can't do this, or if you're not 100% committed to learn how to use your voice in training, you should turn this video off and forget about trying to work with dogs, because you're not going to be an effective dog handler. This may sound a little drastic, but it's a problem I see with police canine handlers everywhere I go. And it's unfortunate because the handlers could get so much more out of their dogs by learning how to praise and give effective commands. Now let's get back to training. When your dog finds the ball, step on the spot and make him dig it out from underneath your feet. Make sure that you give a lot of praise and sound happy that he's made the find. It doesn't take long for the dog to connect the smell of the pseudo drug with the ball. Let's look at this one more time here. Handler steps on the spot when he sees that the dog has found it. The dog has to dig it out. When he finds it, he gets praised. It doesn't take long for the dog to connect the smell of the pseudo drug with his ball. This exercise teaches your dog several things. Number one, to associate the command, get your gift, with looking for his ball. Number two, to associate the smell of the drug with his ball. And number three, to dig and scratch for his ball when he finds it. Now, we'll discuss other exercises later in the tape to build indication through scratching. The exercise also teaches new handlers several things. It teaches them the beginning of voice control when they give their commands. It teaches them the effect of proper praise with their dog. It will show them how good praise will build the drive of your dog if you're doing it correctly. And number three, this is the beginning of learning to read your dog, of knowing when he gets the scent of drugs. Dogs will tell you through body language when they have the scent in a search. Sometimes this is a small, subtle change in posture or drive. As a handler, you should pay close attention to every drug indication during training. See if you can spot the instant your dog hits the scent cone. A good handler can tell you when his dog has scent before it starts to scratch. Now, let's watch this one more time. I'll tell you here when the dog has scent. See if you can spot it yourself. He hit scents right there. Now let's look at that one more time to watch the indication of when he gets the scent. This is excellent handling. Tom lets the dog work on his own and gives excellent praise after the find. He also does a good job of playing with the dog after he locates the drug. One thing you can do to build drive is to make your dog drop the ball after his initial find. When he spits it out, kick it and step on it again. It looks like this. This is the beginning of building his scratching indication.
Oh boy. I got you. Come on. Hey. Yeah. Yeah. Nice one, boy. Oh, the ball. Yeah. Oh, the ball. That's my boy. Yeah, that's my boy. Yeah.
The next step in training is to make a number of holes in the sand, but only put the ball in one with the drug on top. We want the dog to distinguish between the smell of the drug and the smell of ground disturbances. This is the first step in learning scent discrimination for the dog. It's very important here to give a lot of praise with every indication. Now, here's what the second step of your training looks like. You put a number of ground disturbances in the sand. Fill them up, but only put your ball in one. When you bury your ball, put the pseudo drug on top and go and get your dog. Now, if you have a dog that you feel confident that you have control over, you can work him off leash. It's probably better advised for new trainers and new handlers to work their dogs on leash. The dog gets scent right here and goes in on the scent cone and then targets right back to the drug here.
Pinpoint it. Get out of it. Get out of it.
The next step in training is to teach your dog to scratch hard surfaces when he locates a drug. We accomplish this with the use of a scratch board. Scratch board is nothing more than a 3/4 inch piece of plywood with 4x4 legs. It's strong enough for a dog to get up on and walk around. The board has slits cut in it so that the dog can see through it. A ball with a line through the middle is tied under the board to one of the legs. Pseudo drug is placed on one slit in the board. Now, with the dog on top of the scratch board, the tennis ball is moved to attract the dog's attention. When you see that he is really trying to locate the ball, stop it underneath the drug, while at the same time giving your command, "Get your gift." When you are satisfied with the indication, throw a second ball that the dog gets. The first time or two, the indications will be weak because the dog does not understand the exercise, but with time they'll get better. As a handler, don't make the mistake of pointing to the drug like we just saw. Let the dog work out the problem. That's how he learns. If you do your sand lot exercises where you bury your ball in the sand, he'll figure it out eventually and he'll get better and better. If the dog has some problem on the larger scratch board, you can use an old pop case as a smaller board to show him how to work. Here we take a wooden dowel that's been in the pseudo, tape it to the underside of the pop case. When the dog indicates, he's given the ball. It's done fast enough that the dog does not realize where the ball comes from. The reason we're hiding a dowel here is to begin to wean the dog off locating the scent of the ball. Up until this point, we've always buried the ball or used the ball on the other scratch board with the drug scent on top of it, so the dog looked for two scents, the drug and the ball. So at this point, Tom is focusing the dog's attention on the dowel, moving to the scratch board and pretending to hide it there. The dog will be brought over and do his search. Now, you'll notice in the beginning we don't expect a strong indication before the dog gets the ball. With more experience, we will want a stronger and stronger scratching before he gets his reward. Our next step is to take the scratch board and lean it up against something to teach the dog that he does not always find drugs laying under a flat surface. This is the beginning of high find work. You do exactly what you did before. Don't expect a strong indication in the beginning, but insist on better indications as he gains experience.
Hold him right there. Oh, good. 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 That's a boy. Good. Yeah. Gift is coming. Oh, boy. Get that gift to him. Good, good. Good one. Good man. Get it, boy. That's a good boy. That's a man. Get the ball. Play. Hey.
You can also train your dog to high indications by taking him to a sand pit and hiding a wooden dowel with pseudo in the sand. But before you do your search, poke a lot of other holes in the sand so your dog is searching for the drug and not disturbances. You see where this sand hill has been poked literally hundreds of times. If your dog seems to go into a slump in training, back up your work to either the sand pit on the flat sand, the pop case, or the flat scratch board. Remember that dog training is always a series of steps. When you encounter a problem, back up several steps in training and begin again. So in your first weeks of training, you should rotate your work between the sand pit, the large scratch board, the pop case, the flat finds, and the high finds. During this time, work towards building your dog's indication and your ability to read him and give the proper praise when he makes his finds.
Go get the rust gift. Yeah. Get the rust gift. Yeah. Hey. Ha ha. Yeah. Oh. Ah, so surprised. Oh.
When you are satisfied with the strong indication of your dog on pseudococaine, you can begin to train your dog on the second and third drug. Because our training still allows the dog to come in contact with the drugs, we must stay with the pseudoheroin or marijuana. We never use real drugs until we're training in cars or in buildings where we can hide drugs and be 100% sure the dog will not get into them. Now, the method we use to train a dog on a new drug is this. We continue to mark the location of the ball or coat the wooden dowel with pseudococaine. We just add a second pinch of pseudoheroin along with the pseudococaine. Or, in the case of dowels, we add a second dowel that has been stored in the pseudoheroin. You'll be surprised at how fast your dog learns to hit on this second drug. At the beginning of this tape, I mentioned how officers had been surprised when their dogs were hitting on drugs that they really had not been trained on. This can happen with dogs that have street experience because they make finds that contain more than one substance. It doesn't take a dog long to learn on his own that the second substance is also a legal hit. After 10 or 15 finds with the second drug hidden with cocaine, then do an experiment by only hiding the pseudoheroin by itself. This is a small test to see if your dog is learning. You may see an initial weaker indication. Your job as a handler here is to help your dog with a lot of praise when he makes his first find and give the ball quickly so he knows he's made the correct choice. Subsequent finds will get stronger and stronger. Now, if your dog has a problem and doesn't hit on the heroin, then back up your training and put the cocaine or pseudo-cocaine back with the pseudo-heroin, and then go another 10 or 20 times with the two of them together, and then make another test. Once your dog is giving excellent indications in all the areas we've talked about so far, he's ready to learn how to find drugs in a normal street location. We start with automobiles, and we take them to a junkyard for this. The first step is to continue to use wooden dowels and pseudo-cocaine or pseudo-heroin. Keep the changes to a minimum in the beginning. That's why we stay with the pseudo at this point. We'll switch to using the real drug in a few minutes. We begin by poking a single hole in an old car seat with a tire iron. We hide a drug dowel in the seat, in the hole. The dog is taken directly to the seat and encouraged to rip and tear at the seat when he makes his find. We call this an easy find and a hard indication. As our training progresses, we will deal with hard finds and easy indications, then hard finds with hard indications, and easy finds with easy indications. But more on these later.
Nick. Hey. Yeah. He's a boy. Good for him. Good for him. Good boy. So broad. Yeah.
Now, if your dog has a problem with ripping a seat, you would use an easy find and an easy indication in your training next. This simply means that you would repeat the exercise, and as soon as the dog shows a small indication, you would throw his ball. This should help increase his indication. What we're talking about here is you beginning to use your head and analyze what your dog's needs are. Read your dog, and if he isn't working up to par, then back up your training a little until he's doing it correctly.
Get it out, boy. Yeah. Get it. You don't want to bite Tom, yeah. Yeah. Get that gift out of there.
There's no gift there.
Bring it here.
There was.
Yeah, that's all right. Let's get the gift. Ball in my hand and shit.
Yeah, that's a boy. Tear it up. That's a boy, yeah. Let me tear it up. That's a boy, yeah. Pat it with your hand. That's a boy.
When you're working your dog in a hard indication, sound excited. Pat the seat. Pat the dog. Get him excited. The more excited he is, the better indication he's going to make.
Good boy. Good boy, Nick. You good boy. Yeah.
When you're satisfied with the indications, you can do the same thing with a car seat that you did with the sandhills. That is, poke a number of holes in the seat, but hide the drug only in one of them. This teaches the dog to target his indication better. When the dog is doing a good job on the car seats, it's time to hide the drugs on the outside of the car. The first few times, you will want to continue to use the pseudo drugs, but as he catches on, you switch to the real cocaine or heroin. Just make sure you hide it in a spot the dog cannot grab it when he starts to scratch. For example, put it in the hubcap or behind the grill or in the engine compartment close to the crack in the hood, but with the hood down. When you begin to work your dog on a car, do it on leash. You move ahead of your dog and back around the car. This controls the speed at which he searches and gives you command of the dog. Now, one point to mention here is that most new handlers talk too much. If your dog is searching, keep quiet. When he seems to lose concentration or he's looking in an area that you don't want him to, you can redirect him by giving your "get your gift" command and pointing at that area without touching the car.
Is that it? Good. Is that it? Good. Show me. Good. Is that it? Show me. There we go. Let me know. Come on. Good, Evie. Find it. Find the gift. Good girl. Get the gift. Get it. Get the gift. Here, Evie. Gift. Where's the gift? Is that it? Is that it? Ah, good. Bite the hell out of it. Let's go. Bite it. Good. Good, Evie. Find it. Good girl.
Now for the scratch, you pop it. There it is.
Good girl. That is a fine. Where'd it go?
It's on the bite.
That's good.
That a girl. Get it. That's good. Yeah, shake it up. Shake it up. Hey, what's that? What's that? That a girl, Evie. That's a girl. That's my girl.
We see the dowel hidden here. Now we'll watch another dog work.
Yeah, so
If a dog is doing a good job hitting pseudo drugs, he will always do much better hitting real drugs. Now this dog is still working pseudo because he can still get at the dowel. As you gain experience and control over your dog, you may want to work off leash. The concept is the same. Back around the vehicle and direct the search with your commands. Now, as you watch the dog work, be aware also of how the handlers are working in this tape.
Boy, get the gift. Get it out of there. Get it out of there. Come on. Get the gift. Get the gift.
At this stage of training, the dog should do a good job of targeting his find. He doesn't get his ball or his stick until he's at the exact spot.
Get it out of there. That a boy. Get it out of there. That's a boy.
A minor point here, but one that should be mentioned, is before you work your dog in training or for any searches on the street, always make sure that you go out and walk the dog. Give it a chance to relieve itself. It's only going to improve its efficiency.
Here. Up. Here, Evie. That's a girl. So's a ball. Yeah, so's a ball. Good girl. So's a fine. Here. Gift. That's good. Good girl. Yeah. So's a fine. Yeah. That's a girl. So's a fine. Here. That's a girl. So's a ball. Good. Here. Evie.
Now the dog gets odor here and has pulled himself over to the white car. The drug is hid underneath the hood up on the side of the car. Now notice how Tom is not too quick about jumping in there to throw the ball. He makes the dog give him a good indication.
Get your gift. That's a girl. Get your gift. So's a fine. Find your gift. Yeah, that's a girl. Yeah, so's a fine. Get your gift. Yeah, that's a girl. Yeah, that's a girl. Yeah, he fine. So's a ball. That's my.
When your dog is doing a good job on the outside of cars, then you can start to hide the drugs on the inside of the vehicle. Start with the glove compartment and under the dash. In an actual street search, take the dog directly to the glove compartment and ashtray. If you get an indication here, then you need to spend more time on that vehicle.
Yeah, you got your gift. Yeah, that's a girl. Find your gift. That's a girl. Yeah, what's your gift? That's a girl. Get your gift. That's a girl. Get your gift. So's a ball. Get it out. Get it out of there. Get it out. That's a girl. Get it out. Yeah, so's a ball. That's a girl. Yeah, get it out. Get your gift. Get it out.
When you are satisfied with your dog's car searches, it's time to begin working him in building searches. Because of the many places to hide drugs in buildings, and because the wind currents are always different, buildings add a whole new dimension to your training. We begin by backing up our training steps and making the first finds easy finds, but insisting on hard indications, like the one we're about to watch in a minute.
Easy. Up. Boy, get your gift. Yeah, get your gift out of there. That's a boy, yeah. Get your gift. That's a boy, get that gift out of there. Come on, get the gift. Come on, get the gift. That's a boy, get it out. Scratch it out. That's a boy, get it out. Scratch it out. That's a boy, yeah. Scratch a gift, yeah. Scratch a gift. Get it out. See the ball. Get it, get it. That's a boy, yeah. Shows the ball. Get it out. That's a boy. Scratch it out. That's a boy. Shows the ball. Yeah, get it out. That's a boy. That's a boy. Piece of ball. Yeah. Ha ha ha. Yeah, boy. Shows the ball. That's my boy. Huh? Shows the ball. Yeah. That's my boy. Yeah. Shows the ball. That's my boy. Huh? That's my boy.
Notice how Tom handles his dogs when he's training with a ball. He tries to keep the dog from spotting it in his hand. New handlers make the mistake of using ball pouches or keeping the balls out where the dog can see it. What happens is that the dog develops search problems. He starts looking to the handler all the time for the ball, trying to figure out when he's going to get it. The handler then has created a problem he needs to correct. We'll get into handler problems later in this tape. Let's watch Tom one more time. Look at how he works to make the dog's emphasis on finding the ball and not looking for the ball.
Get it out, see the ball. Get it, get it. That's a boy, yeah, shows the ball. Get it out. That's a boy, scratch it out. That's a boy, shows the ball. Yeah, get it out. That's a boy. That's a boy, piece of ball. Yeah. Ha ha ha.
When you enter a building, you must take into consideration the air currents in that building. There are any number of things that can affect this internal airflow. Anything from an open window to a cold air return to furnace vents that can cause the odor to be moved from one location to another. A very important tool for the handler to have with him on his searches is a Bic lighter. By observing the flame during a search, he can get an idea of what's happening with air currents. A good example of what can happen is diagrammed here. We have a room with a hanging space heater, similar to what you'll find in many warehouses. We have drugs hidden in the top of a locker along the wall. Now the space heater picks up the scent and carries it to the opposite wall where it drops to the floor. A dog could indicate a hit here at the floor and the blank wall and be correct because he has odor. The handler needs to know what's really happening. He needs to understand when his dog has a real hit and then be able to figure out why the dog is indicating odor on the wall. Now, let's watch Tom do another search with an easy find and a hard indication. He's getting this bitch ready to do off-leash searches in a building. Notice how the leash comes off during the search when he sees that he has control over the dog.
Here, here, hey! Come here. Come here. Evie? For a star. Evie? Here. Evie? Get your gift. Yeah, so was a bra. Get your gift. Yeah, I said, girl, get your gift. Yeah, so was a bra. So was a bra. So was a bra. Yeah, get your gift. Yeah, I said, girl, so was a bra. So was a bra. Yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, come on, get it. Come on. That's what, get it. Yeah, come on, yeah, just get it. Get it out. Just get it. Just get it out. That's the girl. Yeah, so what's the problem? Get it. Yeah, come on. That's the girl. Get it out. Get it. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about what we just saw. Tom was working on control, off-leash control, when the dog actually got scent and was pulled over to the coke box. He made her come back and finish searching where he wanted her to work. He saw the behavior change, but insisted on her following his direction. Once she came back and did a very short search, He took her to the box and let her make the find. This worked very well because she got immediate praise after being forced back to search. We must put control in our dogs if we ever intend to work off leash. They cannot be allowed to run around and just take off. Now, when she initially got to the Coke box, she knocked it over without much of an indication. So after a short tug of war with the wooden dowel, Tom puts the dowel back under the Coke box and makes her do a stronger indication. And finally she gets the ball for a reward. This type of training strengthens our indications. During our training, we try and work as many types of buildings as possible, especially the types that you may have to work on the street when you do your searches. Here we see Tom working a young female in a bar for the first time. The first find is an easy find, and again with a hard indication. During the initial stages of training, it's not recommended to have searches be too long. Let the dog have quick rewards and easy finds, but expect hard indications. As the dog approaches the 90% level of strong hits, you can stretch out the time between finds, working towards a maximum of 15-minute searches. When your dog is doing a search, he sniffs 250 to 300 times a minute. To understand how much work this is, why don't you try doing it just for 2 minutes? You'll see how this type of work can really cause some stress on your dog. Now, when you first take your dog into a building to search, always walk the dog around on leash for a few minutes to let it acclimate itself to the smells of the new room. We just saw Tom do this as he took his dog walking around inside the building. Now he'll start the bitch on a little longer search before she makes an easy find and a hard indication in that grate.
Yeah. Evie? Come. What'd you get? Evie? That's good. That's good. Good. So fine. Good. Yeah. That's a girl. Yeah. Behavior change. It's a gift, yeah. It's your gift, yeah. So it's about get your gift. Show me the gift. That's a girl. Get your gift. Get your gift out of there. Yeah. Get your gift. Yeah. That's a girl. Get your gift. Yeah. So it's about get your gift.
This is a new type of hiding place for this bitch, but she doesn't have any problem with it because of her earlier scratchboard training.
Yeah. That's a girl. Yeah. Really. Yeah. Good girl. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a girl. So the brow. Yeah. Hey.
We are now ready to make our finds harder for the dog, but at the same time will not expect such strong indications. In addition to simply hiding the drug in a more difficult location, you can increase the difficulty by having someone other than the handler hide the drugs. Dogs have been known to learn to hit on their handler's scent and not on the drugs, so having someone else hide them eliminates this problem. Having a second person hide the drugs without the handler knowing where they are also eliminates the handler accidentally influencing his dog with either a voice change or a posture change when the dog gets close to the find. This procedure also forces the handler to concentrate on behavioral changes with his dog.
So is it fine. Good. Yeah, that's a girl. Yeah, that's a kid. Yeah, good. That's a girl. Yeah. Yeah. That's a girl. Yeah. That was good. Yeah. Good girl. So is it girl. Here. Up. A week ago we had a fine.
We've already talked a little about control during your training, but during your normal work, you should be putting control into your dog. Now, the average drug dog is pretty high strung, and we need to work on control without domineering the dog's spirit. That's a hard concept for new trainers to master. Control, to them, means going out and cranking on the leash with a stern voice command, when in actuality, you will get more out of your dog by being firm, but also by being a little forgiving. In other words, don't try and get perfection overnight. Try and get it in 6 months. These type of dogs are happy-go-lucky dogs with up temperaments. They want to please you. So, when they make a little mistake, a little or phooey is usually enough to let them know that their present behavior is not acceptable. In the next sequence, watch how Tom handles the dog. Also, watch how he's working the dog on the hup command to teach the dog to check high when he's told.
Yeah. Up. Fine. Good boy. So gift. Yeah, here's your gift. Fine. Here's your gift. Archie.
Notice how every time Tom asks the dog to hup and he does it, the dog gets praised. Now watch, we have one coming up here.
That's a boy. Here. Here. Gift. Up. That's a boy. Fine. Here. Archie. Up. Fine. That's a boy. Gift. Archie. Gift. Here. Here. Gift. Fine. Here. Gift. Fine. That's a boy. Here. Gift. Archie. 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 Gift. Fine. Here. Archie. Up. Fine. Twist off. Archie. Archie. This is maybe just a little bit too long of a search for him.
Tom says this because the dog is showing some anxiety and he's showing some signs of tiring.
Have an odor change.
This is a hard find with an easy indication.
Behavior change is taking place. That's a boy. So it's a dog. That's a boy. That's a boy. Yeah, it's a boy. Get a gift. Yeah, so it's about. Get that gift out of there. Let's get that. Skip out. Yeah, yeah, that's a boy. Hey. Oh, fine. Yeah, that's a boy. So it's about, huh? Yeah. That's a boy. Where'd it go, huh? Where's that? Get your gift. Where's your gift? Find your gift. That's a boy. Yeah, so it's about. So it's about. Yeah.
A few comments for new handlers on putting control into your dog. Number one, work the dog on a loose 6-foot leash. Don't hold him short near the collar. You must give him room to work. Number two, as you move backwards and the dog tries to force his way past the front of you, just block him with your knee. It's not necessary to say anything. Just don't let him by. When he begins to search again, it's good boy, good boy. Number three, if the dog tries to go around the back, it's followed immediately with praise when the dog gets back in front and starts to search. Most new trainers forget to praise. The result is a gradual loss of temperament and drive in the dog. Number four, teach the hup command during training, but always praise the dog when he jumps up to look. This only has to be a good boy or a pat on the side when he does it. Number five, if the dog hits on something he's not supposed to, for example, if he's getting into food that's been left out, you give a phooey command, but again, followed with praise when he begins to redo his search. And finally, a word on the tone of your voice commands. You don't need to sound mad or sharp with your commands. A firm command usually accomplishes just as much without affecting the temperament of your dog. Dogs want to please you. If your commands are too rough, they become concerned that they're in trouble. This results in them concentrating too much on you, the handler, and not on searching for the drugs. So, read your dog. If he quits wagging his tail or if he slows down too much after you give a command, you had better get control over your tone of voice during your commands, or you'll become a less effective team. Now, let's watch Tom one more time.
Skip. 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 All right. So it's about up. All right. That's skip. Good. We stop. Skip. Skip. Up. All right. That's good. Good. And when you're working with the leash, I will give the dog the length of a leash to leave me. And that's it. Here. Up. Fine. So it's about. Skip. And that's it. Yeah. Good. Skip. Fine. That's good. Skip. Up. Fine. Good, good. Here. Skip. All right, that's a good. That's a good. Cross the ball. Ah, ah. Ah. Good. Not a behavior change, just curiosity.
It's important that you learn the difference between curiosity and a behavior change on your dog. You don't praise or correct curiosity. You just ignore it.
Up. Twist off. Ah, ah, ah. Ah. You see in the training, when I say ah, ah, she stops, she knows. Here, up. Here. Good. Odor. Ooh.
Okay, we just saw the dog go past the drugs in the toolbox. She gave a quick behavior change and left it. We'll stop the tape here and discuss what just happened, because it's very important that you handle this situation correctly in your training. At this stage of the dog's training, it would be a mistake for the handler to stop, point out the box, and try and get the dog to give you an indication. We want the dog to find the drugs on his own. We want him to make the decision himself to hit with an indication. So, when you know the drugs are there, like Tom does here, and the dog leaves the find, say nothing. Try and act totally normal. Just continue on past a few feet and then circle around and pass over the find again. Make the dog work. That's how they learn. You cannot be making these finds for your dog. The more that you do this, the better your dog will become. So now let's watch this again and watch how Tom lets the dog go past it and then brings him back to do it the correct way. Now sometimes, like here, the dog will have to make 3 or 4 passes before he gives us a good indication. The drugs are in the gray toolbox right there.
Odor. Ooh. Yep. Yep. You cannot help in this situation. She's got to do it. Yep.
Now that is not a good enough indication. She's got to go by it again.
Yep. Girl, yes, get your gift, yeah. Let's get your gift out of there. That's a girl. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out. That's a girl. Get it out. Get it out. Get your gift. Get your gift. Get it out. That's a girl. Yeah. Come on. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out. That's a girl. Hey. Hey.
So that's pseudo cocaine in the bag.
Oh, it's a girl. Get your gift. Yeah. Fine. That is a girl. That's a girl. Yeah. That's fine.
Now we want a lot of praise after this exercise. It's important to use your imagination when selecting the location to train at and the types of places to hide your drugs. Many trainers get caught in a routine of going to the same buildings, the same places, and hiding the drugs in locations where the dogs hit on them within 5 minutes of walking through the door. So vary your locations. Vary the types of finds from low finds to medium finds to high finds. Work in service stations where dogs have to search around oil and gasoline. They must get used to this. Work in parking lots where you have traffic driving by. When you search car seats, luggage, or boxes, breathe them as the dog searches. This simply means push down on the suitcase as the dog begins to sniff it. By expelling air out of the suitcase, it makes it easier for your dog to smell drugs if they are inside. Now the same can apply to vehicles. Let a little air out as the dog is smelling the tire. If there are drugs inside the tire, it's easier for the dog to determine it. Another important task of advanced training is to proof your dog to the specific drugs. By this I mean make tests with your dog to be sure that he's hitting on the scent of the drug and not some other scent. We do not want the dogs to hit on cutting agents, plastic bags, food, water, the handler's own scent, or anything else other than that of the drugs. This work is especially important for your later court testimony. This is basically an easy training exercise to set up for your dog. Basically, it's an obedience exercise. The way it's done is to hide a substance that you do not want your dog to hit on. Example, a cutting agent, a crushed aspirin, or plastic bags. And then 4 or 5 feet away, downwind, if there's airflow in the building, you hide the real drugs. Now you make the real drug find an easy find. Work your dog in a search pattern so the dog comes to the cutting agent first. If the dog starts to hit on it, give a fooey command and another search command a foot or so past the cutting agent. The dog will continue on and immediately hit a real drug find. Only expect an easy indication on the real drug find and always give a lot of praise after. The dog learns very quickly that they're supposed to be very selective in their finds. To get a better idea of what cutting agents to train on, talk to your state and federal DEA lab. Many of the cutting agents can be bought locally at pharmacies or health food stores. Explain another important part of your training program. That is to train your dog to hit on money. Because of the government's position on kicking part or all of the confiscated money and possessions tied to a drug fine back to local police agencies involved, a drug dog is going to not only pay for its own way, but should be able to really help supplement the budget of the department that it works for. With this in mind, it only makes sense to train your dog to hit on money. Again, this is not a difficult thing to do. You treat the training exercise the same way you were if you were adding another drug to your dog's list of drugs to locate. Only this time, it's cash. We begin by hiding cash with drugs, gradually reducing the amount of drugs you put with the money. Now, it's important to use fresh money as much as possible because the dogs will be able to pick up on the residual drug scent left with old cash. You will be surprised how fast some dogs can pick up on this. In a real street search, when a dog hits on cash that's not hidden with drugs, it's a good idea for your later court testimony to have a different officer take that cash and hide it in another location. Then see if the dog hits on it a second time. If it does, have the cash taken to your state laboratory and checked for residual drugs. If any are found, it's a good bet that you'll be confiscating that money. The best laid plans of men and beasts can go astray. Our next session deals with solving problems that come up during your training. If problems would develop one at a time, it would be simple to pinpoint the cause and correct it. But with new trainers, there are usually a number of problems that develop together, and you end up with a real mess. Next, we'll watch a training session in which the handler makes several common mistakes. First, he stops at the find rather than continue on, as we've talked about. Second, he tries to motivate the dog, but he lacks enthusiasm. Third, the handler keeps hitting the box that the drugs are in with his hands. He should not be touching the place the drugs are hidden. Fourth, the handler actually distracts his dog by petting him or slapping him on the head and the shoulders to try and motivate him. Watch as he does this, the dog actually stops searching and looks up at the handler. And last, the ball is under the box that the drugs are in. The handler should move the box around to attract the dog's attention to the fact that the ball is there, which would increase the dog's scratching drive. Now let's take a look at it. Now you see the handler actually stops while the dog is at the point, but the dog is not indicating well yet. He should not stop.
Help him out. Go up, put your foot on and help him out.
Notice the hand touching the box? And he should be moving the box around on the floor with his foot rather than letting it stationary. That would build drive in the dog. We see some handler distraction right here.
There you go. One more time. One more out of me.
This handler needs to sound and act a lot more motivated. He'll get a lot more out of that dog. Let's watch how this training exercise should look with Tom taking a dog through a similar type of a circumstance.
Gabby, where's your gift?
Now she goes by the box, so Tom will take her on, continue to search, and bring her back around.
That's a girl. Get your gift. That's a girl. Get your gift. That's a girl. Get your gift. Get in there. Come on, get out. Get your gift. That's a girl. Yeah, so get your gift. Let's go. Get your gift. Come on, get your gift.
Listen to the difference in motivation here.
Out of that. That's a girl. Get it out. Come on, get your gift. Yeah, so about. Get that gift out of that. Come on, get the gift. Yeah. So the ball, get the gift. Come, yeah, let's get the gift, yeah. So the ball, yeah. That's a girl, get the gift. So the ball, get the gift out of it. Get the gift, yeah. That's a girl, get the gift.
Tom puts the ball under the box.
Get it out, that's a girl, get it out. Get it out, that's a girl, get it out. Get it out. Now the ball is underneath of it. Get it out. That's a girl, yeah, come. Yeah, get it out, that's a girl, get it, yeah, get the gift, yeah. So the ball, get the gift, yeah. So the ball, yeah. Get the gift, yeah, get it out. Yeah, hey. Oh, man. It's good, yeah. That's a girl. So the ball. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a girl. Yeah, that's a girl. Yeah. That's a girl. That's a girl. Yeah, so the ball. Yeah, so the ball. Hey. Oh, sir. Hey.
Now, when the first handler goes back to do it again, we see that he still has a problem trying to motivate his dog to get the dog to scratch. The problem that he's created has resulted in the dog continually looking to the handler for his ball. As you watch this sequence, watch how the dog is constantly looking up at the handler.
Get the gift. Yeah, so the ball. Get the gift. And the boy, get the gift. Yeah, so the ball. Get the gift. Yeah, that's all. That's it. Move it around. Move it around the foot.
He should be moving this scratch box around and around and around to get the dog's attention with the movement of the box. You see, this dog is looking for a ball.
Keep him going. Pet him. Not on top of the head, on his shoulders. In other words, like you're firing up a dog. Boom, on the side. That's the boy. Where's your gift? That's the boy. Yeah, so it's a ball. That's what I want. Like
This next sequence shows you how to motivate your dog when he does make an indication with your hands. You don't slap him around the head or slap him on his front shoulders. You fire him up with your hands, and Tom will show you how to do that now. The drugs are in the desk drawer right behind Tom.
Yes. What you got? What you got? What you got? Yeah, Scott, get your gift. Yeah, get your gift out of there. Yeah, get your gift. Yeah, come, get your gift. Get your gift out. Get your gift. Yeah, come. Let's get your gift. Yeah, so the ball. Get your gift. Come, get your gift. Come, that's a boy. Yeah, get your gift. Yeah, so the ball. Get your gift. Yeah, that's a boy. Yeah, yeah, that's a boy. Yeah, so the ball. Hey. Yeah, let's get your gift. Yeah.
Perfect timing on giving the dog the ball. The dog had no idea that the ball came from Tom. When you create a problem of your dog continually looking for you and the ball, you can back up your training by taking the ball out of the training. We do this by making his play toy the hidden dowel. Now, the dog has to scratch for the dowel to get it out of the hiding place and then play with it with his handler in a tug-of-war game. This work should have been part of your earlier training. With the dog that has the problem in the tape here, it has not been. Let's watch the first time this dog is exposed to a hidden dowel. Now there's a little confusion in the beginning, but he figures it out quickly. If this trainer will use the dowel and pseudo drugs for a week or so, this dog will be looking to the drugs for his reward and not to the trainer and the ball.
Get it, play tug-of-war. That's it, tug-of-war, tug-of-war. We're on the floor. All right, now get out here and play tug-of-war with me. A lot of tug-of-war. That's the boy. If you take it away from him, throw it, and let him go get it.
So you see, to solve a problem in dog training, you have to develop an analytical mind. Many times you need to see past the apparent problem to find your solution. Let's take a few minutes here to talk about some other very common problems that develop in training drug dogs. One of the most common problems is simply getting lazy during training. Handlers develop routines rather than training sessions. They use the same buildings, they have 5-minute searches, they only have one find in each building, and they never run blank exercises. This is not the way to train an effective drug dog. Some handlers have an attitude problem. They develop this macho attitude. They treat their dogs like robots. They think the dogs are machines. They don't need motivation and they don't need praise. When they, the handler, give a command, that dog better damn well get out there and do it. A handler has to like his dog. He has to work at developing a relationship with the dog. If he can't do this, he should either get a new dog or he should get out of canine, because he's never going to develop into a good canine team. Another common problem is the handler that never learns to trust his dog's indications. Problems develop when this team begins to work on the street. Here's how it works. During a street search, the dog hits a scent cone. The handler doesn't think anything could or should be there, so he corrects his dog and gives another search command. It doesn't take long to confuse this dog. You are essentially untraining the dog to drugs. When in doubt, forget a correction. If you have any question in your mind, don't correct. If you ever do have to correct a drug dog, make it a mild one. Another big problem that develops in drug dog training is the handler that always hides his own drugs. The dogs learn to cue on handler voice changes or handler body language. You don't have to stop moving at a drug find for a dog to see the difference in your body posture. It makes a big, big difference. In advanced training, let a second person hide the drugs and then work as your spotter behind you. If you're having problems reading your dog, ask a friend to videotape 4 or 5 training sessions, then watch them with an experienced trainer. Many times it's obvious when you see yourself at work. It's not very hard to develop a case of leash blindness. Almost all training problems can be traced right back to the basics. If you have a solid training foundation from which to work, you're less likely to get into major problems. Let's take one last look at a short search where there are some very basic mistakes being made. This handler is not controlling his dog very well. The dog gets past him and at times is out in front of the search. Because of this, the handler misses a light socket. The handler is also not using the hup command to make the dog search along the seams of the bleacher. Now let's watch it.
Good girl. Good Evie. What's that sound? Get the gift. Good Evie. Get the gift. Get the gift. Good Evie. Get the gift. Get the gift, Evie. Good. Get the gift. Get the gift. Go. Get the gift. Get the gift. Get her girl. Get her girl.
Now, this handler has excellent praise and motivation at the drug find. He has perfect timing and technique in delivering the ball, but by missing the basics in the earlier search, he could be causing later problems with this dog if these problems were not corrected right away. When the time comes to begin doing street searches, there are a number of things the handler can do to ensure a more productive search. First of all, go through a room or a building before you search it. Look for the obvious. If there are any drugs sitting out, have them removed before you bring the dog in. We don't want the dogs to accidentally get into drugs. If drugs are out, work your dog on leash. If there are any birds or animals in a building, ask that they be removed. In the winter, give your dog a half hour to warm up before you start your work. If you can turn off any air conditioning, heaters, or fans, do it. If the dog indicates with a hit and you cannot locate the drug, then open a window or a door to try and get some air movement in the room. This may help pinpoint the drugs. If there is a window to be opened, it may not be a bad idea to open it before you do your room search, just to help clear out the air in the room. If possible, try and use a spotter to go with you. Many times it's easier for a second canine officer to see a behavioral change or a slight indication that the handler working his dog may miss. When a drug is found, remove it from the room and continue your search. It is not recommended, because of the laws in most states, to do body searches, but if a dog does hit on a person, down your dog and take the person to another room to search them. As you search, don't waste time on obvious blank walls. You only have 10 to 15 minutes at a stretch to work your dog before he tires. So use your head and do an effective search. Watch for fatigue in the dog. As the dog gets tired, you're going to see more panting, more false indications. Be aware of the possibility of false floors. When you make an arrest, always try and interview the suspect after his arrest. Many times the suspect will give you new ideas concerning your future searches. And finally, if your dog will not search, then quit. Let him rest and try again. We must always be aware of the possibility of our dogs getting sick without our knowing it. The final section of this videotape concerns a few ideas to help you in your court testimony. This subject could take up an entire video, but we'll touch on some of the important points here before closing. At times, the ability of you and your dog to obtain search warrants will lie with the reputation of you and your dog. Your reputation can be established through accurate training manuals and honest and intelligent court testimony. From the very first day of your training, you should keep an accurate training manual. This manual should list every seminar that you go to and every training session that you have with your dog. The training sessions in the manual should list the type and approximate quantity of the drugs that you used, the type of buildings and vehicles that you used to search, the number of finds, who hid the drugs, and exactly how your dog did during each session. If the dog needed a handler assist on a find, it should be documented in the manual. It's important to list your dog's problems and then go on in future sessions to list the steps that you took to correct these problems. A defense attorney is going to shoot holes in a training manual that shows no problems. You'll be setting yourself up to lose if you're not accurate with your manual. No dog is perfect. You should shoot for a 95 to 97% accuracy with your dog. Usually a record of 90% or less indicates some form of training problem. Now, certification and recertification is an important part of your dog's credentials. It adds to the strength of your testimony in court. Random recertifications also have two additional benefits. They help point out developing training problems, and they force the handler to maintain a high level of training. This brings us to the end of our training video. We hope the information presented helps make you and your dog a more productive team for your department. Our tape should not be looked at as the end of information that you will need in training narcotic detection dogs. The interesting thing about this work is that there never seems to be an end to it. You will continually be amazed at the strength of your dog's nose and the intelligence that he develops as he works the street. I would like to thank Tom Brenneman of Von Kaiserhoff Training Center in Newton, Kansas, for his assistance in the production of this video. Without his knowledge, this tape could not have been produced. I would also like to thank all of the other handlers and their dogs for allowing me to videotape them during their training sessions. Many police departments waste thousands of dollars in officer training time with dogs that never should have been selected as patrol dogs. Our tape on training police service dogs shows you how to test a dog to determine if it has the necessary drive to do police work. Some dogs make excellent personal protection dogs, but they're not good enough for police work. We show you exactly where to draw a line on what to accept as a new canine. The majority of accidental training bites are caused from equipment failure or mistakes in handling. Our tape shows the equipment to use and includes an excellent section on leash handling during body bites. You are shown how to train a dog to target his bite to the entire body in this tape. We do this with the use of a body bite suit, starting with leg bites, leg to arm transfers, arm to leg transfers, and finally back and shoulder bites. Because police dogs are often sent off-leash, we show you how to put off-leash control into your dog. This work is not done with hidden helpers or other tricks. It's an obedience exercise and is treated as such. Off-leash control is a must for every department that wants to eliminate accidental bites. If you train your dog with a body bite suit, it is no longer safe to work him with a hidden sleeve. You have to work him in muzzle. Our video has a detailed section on muzzle training. It is laid out in a step-by-step manner that shows you exactly when to move from one step to the other. We then show you how to train a canine to work a traffic stop. He must learn when he can and cannot leave the car to protect his handler. We have detailed sections on field searches and building searches. Building searches are one of the most hazardous duty assignments a police officer is required to perform. It's also one of the most effective ways to use a police dog. Our training methods are focused on officer survival. This video was filmed in West Germany and America. Our trainers are some of the best in the world. Through it, you get an insight into the use of police dogs that a civilian cannot give you. The working dog sport of the Netherlands, or Holland, is designed around street police work. It takes approximately 2 years to train a dog for the KNPV-1 title, and 50% of those that pass are immediately sold to the police and military. This video was filmed at a KNPV trial in Dordrecht, Holland, located about 12 miles from Rotterdam. There are 3 judges for every trial. The Dordrecht judges authorized my presence on the field where it was safe to be there. 90% of the dogs competing in the KNPV trials are Malinois. 5% are Bouviers and 5% are Dutch Shepherds. The Dutch do not believe in registering their dogs. They feel that registration would take away from the dog's working ability. Pressing the question, the consistent answer was that when a police dog bites, his looks count for nothing. In addition to some outstanding footage, I have edited the tape to show you some dogs going through each of the exercises. I explain the points given for each exercise and discuss some of the important details that the judges look for. This tape is 1 hour and 55 minutes long and a valuable addition to your collection of the working dog sports of Europe. Our video Training a Competition Tracking Dog is the most comprehensive collection of information on training tracking dogs in book or video form. The video begins by showing you how to select a tracking field for your training. We show you the pros and cons of different types of fields and how they would affect a track that you might put in it. We cover the proper way to lay a track, how to use food in your training, and how to wean your dog off the food once you are satisfied with his performance. Handling a dog on the track is an art. We discuss and show many of the finer points of working with your dog as he tracks. We break down article indication and corner training into the many component training steps. You will learn how to train your dog to indicate articles by lying down with the article between the front feet. If your goal is to be competitive in tracking, you are going to have to learn how to use corrections on the track. This subject is covered in detail. We show you exactly where your dog should be in training before you start correcting. We discuss and show the levels of correction to use. And we talk about what to do if you make a mistake and go too far too soon. There are training sessions on slowing your dog on the track and advanced line handling. So, if you want to see the training concepts that have been used in Europe for years, buy this tape. If you are interested in additional tracking information, we offer a tape called Problem Solving in Training a Tracking Dog. This video assumes you have watched and understood the concepts in our tape Training a Competition Tracking Dog. The video is edited to show you a number of people tracking their dogs. All have some problems. Before each track, we explain the problems you are about to see. After watching the dog track, we give you a list of things the handler can try to correct the problems they have. This tape will help you read your own dog and understand what to do when a problem develops. The tape sells for $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Our video on training personal protection dogs gives you the information to convert a Schutzhund dog or a dog with basic bite training into a personal protection dog. The tape shows you how to target your dog's bite to different parts of the body. This is trained in segments using a body bite suit. The tape begins with the leg bites, leg-to-arm transfers, leg-to-arm, arm-to-leg transfers, arm-to-arm transfers, and finally shoulder and back bites. Although the concepts are similar to those covered in our tape on training police service dogs, most personal protection dogs are not as strong as a patrol dog and therefore need more training steps in their work program. We show you how to do this in this film. Muzzle work is the only way to proof a dog that's been trained in body bites. Muzzle training is broken into 6 steps, followed by a session on helper hints for effective muzzle work. We then have a section on putting defense or civil drive into your dog. We discuss 4 methods. Strong civil dogs are dogs that will turn on their handler if they receive too much pressure at some point in their training. Although this type of dog is not common in America, you need to know how to safely handle them. This video demonstrates 4 methods to safely work with strong civil dogs. You learn when one method should be used over another. These dogs should only be worked by the most experienced handlers and helpers. There are training sessions on each of the following subjects: food refusal from a stranger, bark and bite at the door, protect your car, random attacks off the training field, alert on a voice command when there's no helper present, and handling rules for a real-life violent encounter. This video is intended for experienced trainers. It's not intended as a beginner's tape. We assume that the viewer knows and understands how to build a bite in a dog. To learn bite building, you need to refer to our tape on protection training in the beginning.